HDFC TV18, celebrating 15 years of leadership.
I'll go on to Madhu's story. It's a fabulous story of how persistence pays off in investment. You know, you've heard of how to identify some companies, but Madhu's story is linked with the promoter who refused to meet him. He cornered him down, and this story, I think, is one of his best investments, has earned him the best return. So you hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Madhu.
So this was way back in 2002-03, when our fund size was very, very small, maybe 50-100 crore rupees. And even brokers were not picking up our calls, forget promoters. So it was very tough to meet promoters those days.
Right.
And this was a company based out of Hyderabad called DIWALI Laboratories. They did a public issue, and the market cap at the listing time was 140 crores. So basically, you know, a lot of the tricks which we have learned later on, but one trick which we knew that if you really identify any team or any individual who is really passionate about what he does, then success is only a matter of time. So actually, even in those days, I did a tremendous amount of work on Dr. Murli Devi personally, and we found out that, you know, since 1969, the only thing which he is talking about is chemistry and pharmaceutical. And he is extremely passionate. So I got a chance. I had to travel all the way. And
so tell them the story, because it's quite cool. He was on a flight to London.
Actually, you know, I asked for a meeting for 2-3 months, but he said that I am not wanting to raise money and I don't want to meet anyone, forget you. And whenever we do the public issue, I will come and we'll have an investor conference, and that time you can ask me any question which you want. He actually came on the phone, he actually told me this much.
That I don't want to meet you.
But I did not leave it. So I found out when is he flying to London. And I bought a ticket, sat next to him, and I told him, now you don't have any choice but to listen to me. And I showed him my return ticket. That, see, I have no business in London, and that was coincidentally my first trip to London. So you were quite literally
going to land in London, turn around and come right back.
I showed him my return ticket, and he actually appreciated my sincerity, that this guy really means business. And we spent like 5-6 hours trying to understand how big this opportunity of CRAMS could be, how big the opportunity of the API business could be, and what their real skills were. So you know that 140 crore market cap of the listing is today 24,000 crores.
Yeah.
And touchwood has worked out very well for us.
We've done the good, we'll do the bad. You call them the HOLI DIWALI sectors. Tell us what that means.
So the complete opposite of the good businesses. There are occasionally businesses which are attractively priced, and a lot of the non-tech, the non-consumer, the non-pharma, the non-financials, which you really want to hold as a portfolio holding, you will occasionally get cheap. I know, like, each time I come on TV, you badger me about buying public sector banks or about buying infrastructure companies, or where you need heavy investments, or of course the commodity super cycle's over, but there are occasionally times when you can get those kind of companies cheap, but you really don't want them to last in your portfolio beyond the 2 festivals. So either you buy them at Holi and sell them by Diwali, or vice versa, and don't get wedded to those. But that's just to keep your excitement going. But really the portfolio should be in the 3 or 4 good sectors, which I think we've all made our wealth on those sectors. And it's not really
let me spell it out clearly. The sector that you're calling typically a Holi Diwali sector is the infrastructure sector. Which in some ways you've told me that you've sworn to stay away from, and that you will never invest in.
It doesn't work for me. And the logic I have
get these are personal experiences. I'm not saying that we must generalize it.
These require people with large amounts of capital and long gestation periods, and they're subject to so much uncertainty. It's right for a government to invest and a sovereign fund to finance it. Why are we getting into this? I don't have that much capital, because we are interested in, like in my case, it was a ZTV, it was an Infosys, it was, in the last commodity bull market, it was Vedanta, and people like that. But I don't need to necessarily go like I did in the 1990s. I remember getting clobbered in a stock called Trafalgar House, which is nice construction. And there are enough people who made money in that. And the last cycle was, if you would have gone into any of those, you would have been left holding the baby with the bathwater.
So you've sworn never to invest in infrastructure.
I don't have enough money to, spend time there.
So what happens if you see a great infrastructure story, or you're on a flight to London and you meet a really hot infrastructure entrepreneur?
So, Warren Buffett has a very lovely line I remember each time. And I remember when you were badgering even Rakesh about SpiceJet. He says, I applaud the effort, but I'll skip the ride. Okay.
Can you reinterpret what the meaning of infrastructure is? Are there investments that are not necessarily infrastructure in the most classical sense of infrastructure, but, your vision of what infrastructure should be, and therefore outside your taboo area?
No, but like infrastructure to me, and even when you were asking Ramdev about IT, for example, in the private domain, you can see companies like Mu Sigma and all coming up, which is extraordinary work going on the analytics side. But there are portions of that business already embedded inside the TCS and an Infosys and so on.
But they're not classical infrastructure. They're not building roads and ports.
I'm not saying that, but when you see the other IT people who are building out the the new roadways of India are not the highways. It's when the PM talks of digital India.
Sure.
These are the people who are building the digital highways out. Like he gave his example on telephony. I was lucky in, again, that period where Max had the license for Bombay, and I bought Max very early. They, of course, subsequently sold it to Hutchison. But that's a piece of infrastructure. And you can think of it as the raw material is free, and all I'm paying is for airwaves. It's later.
So that infrastructure you're okay with?
So that's fun, but when the government realizes that I can extract a pound of flesh from here, and when a government official tells me, ye to hawa se paisa kama rahe hain hamare wajah se, that's the time you pack up and run away from that sector.
So all the people who own infrastructure stocks in this room...
No, it doesn't work for me. Like he gave a great example of DVs. I've had terrible experiences in Hyderabad. I don't typically go and buy stocks over there. But that's me.
Okay. Your, in a sense, bad investment decision in your life, you've qualified as never depend on inside information. This is the HDFC Bank story in your life, and it's worth listening to.
HDFC Bank was the only bank IPO. I never buy into IPO anything. So that was the only bank IPO where I created multiple folios of my wife, son, whatever HUF and all, and applied in 16 names. I got 8 allotments, and I was thinking that this I'm going to hold it for whole life. And that stock got listed at 30.32, and it was so fascinating. I had created a fund flow and profit pool for next 10 years. And I was confident. I was thinking that it is going to be HSBC of India. That was my dream even in 96. Then I bought 5-6 lakh shares, accumulated that, stock went to 60, and then at that point of time, I had an analyst whose wife was working in Mr. Parekh's office.
Deepak Parekh's office.
Now this is how it starts. And I don't know what kind of time that was. He kept on feeding me, sir, this NatWest engagement is breaking, and these guys, they don't know anything of ABCD of banking, and they will be in deep trouble.
Just because the NatWest relationship was going sour.
Yeah. So, and he was coming every day in the morning and giving me this sermon. So finally I said, let's sell it.
Ooh.
I sold the whole lot of 6 lakh shares at about 52.5 rupees. I never saw the price again. And I think it is worth 300 or 400 crores right now. So I never allow anybody, even Hero or all these companies where I'm kind of there for 17, 18 years and all. I never bother about the inside information. Never. On the first, if numbers are coming, I'll wait for the first night or second night, but I'll never call up anybody because I just don't want any inside information in my portfolios.
This must really hurt, right? Yeah. Whenever you see the HDFC Bank on the ticker.
That's okay. You always can rectify. But inside information is very expensive, I'm telling you.
It's also illegal.
And let me tell you this, Rajat Gupta episode. This Gallian, what is Gallian fund? Rajaratnam. So he visited my office. Rajaratnam. So he said, we compensate only, the travel expenditure we compensate only if you get insights.
Yeah. Insights. That's what he called it. Huh?
Yeah. So he went about collecting insights, and he collected actually inside information. And see where he is. So inside information is very expensive, I'm telling you. Never bank on that. Never, ever. If any fund manager says that I'm very close to this management, and hence I know everything about the company, I would not give money to that guy.
It also speaks, in the converse sense, Ramdev, of having conviction in your own, the reasons on which you bought the stock, right? You did a considerable amount of work before you invested in it. You went to all that effort with all the multiple folios. You had conviction that this is going to be a great story.
And
somewhere you gave up on your conviction.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't use my head. I just went by the analyst's wife's call, of all.
Don't listen to your analyst's wife. Okay.
CNBC TV 18, celebrating 15 years of leadership.